Hello and welcome to Graphics and Digital Design with Miss Spehr. Today we are going to be doing some photoshopping and we're going to learn how to shrink a car. So just as a little bit of a recap, last session we had a look at the design process like we always do, and we started off with a design brief which told us exactly what we needed to do in this project. We then did a little bit of brainstorming to figure out the kind of features and the kind of car that we wanted, the kind of styles and the programs and the tools that we might use. And then we got on to a little bit of visual research. It's always really important to do, I guess, a little bit of research to see what inspiration is out there and what already exists, and get some really good ideas for what we want to do ourselves. So here is some visual research inspiration by a company or a person called Ritter Goods, or Andrew Ritter, he's known, and he makes all these beautiful miniature cars. He uses a rendering program which is quite complex, but he started off by doing some little manipulations like we are going to be doing today in Photoshop. So let's have a look at some of his cars that he's made. So he starts off with usually some concept sketches like the ones on the screen here, and the one on the right hand side, that is a finished design of a final car that he has created, and you can see it actually looks pretty realistic, and it's a really awesome design. These are also some of his work as well. Lots of detail and lots of tonal variation on there as well. So he's a really good source of inspiration. So definitely look up some of his work because he's a fantastic contemporary designer, and it's great to have a look at him for some visual research. So if you haven't looked at him yet, make sure that you look him up. So let's get going and shrink a car. So what you'll need in order to do this is a car image, preferably a side view. So if you would like to go and take a photo of your own car, you can definitely do that. Or just for the purposes of practicing today, you might just want to use the internet and get an image from there. So let's get into Photoshop straight away. So here we are in a new landing page on Adobe Photoshop. So we're going to create a new document. I'm just going to make mine a generic A4 size, but you can make it whatever you like. Because I'm working with a car, which is a landscape size, I am going to change my orientation, but everything else looks fairly good. So I'm going to press create. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste in my car that I've chosen. I've chosen this beautiful little red one. So I am going to make that a little bit bigger just so I can see what I'm working with. If you're working on a Mac, it's Command T. If you're on a PC, it will be Control T. So I'll make that a little bit bigger so I can see what's going on. And then the first thing that I want to do is I'm going to go over to my left-hand side toolbar and I'm going to grab the selection tool. Now what we want to do is we want to copy both of the wheels, but we're going to do them separately. So if we click and drag over it, I'm going to copy it and paste it. And you can see over on the right-hand side now, there's actually another layer, and that's because that new wheel is on that layer. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing now. I'm going to select the wheel. Now I will have to click on my first layer because otherwise it won't actually copy that wheel. So I'm going to copy and paste again. So now I've got another layer. And what I'm going to do is those wheels are going to stay in proportion, but my car itself, that is going to get minimized. So that's going to get squished essentially. So what I need to do is press Command T or transform. And I'm going to bring it in so it makes my car a little bit smaller. All right, we don't want to make it too different. All right, so I'm going to bring it in like that. I'll still keep it in the middle. All right, that's looking pretty good, I think. And I'll just press enter to deselect that. Now what I want to do is actually put my wheels over the top. So everything else on the car has got smaller except for my wheels because we're replacing those. So I'm just zooming in, Command plus. And what I might do is also change my opacity down a little bit so that I can see through it. So all I'm doing now is transforming my wheels just to see where they should go. So roughly over the top of where they would go originally. It doesn't have to be in exactly the same spot, but it should be fairly close. Once we're happy with that, we can press enter. I'll change my opacity back to 100, and I'll do exactly the same with the other wheel, making sure that I'm clicked on that layer at the same time. I'll change my opacity as well so I can see through it a little bit, and then I'll line up the wheel as best as I possibly can. I want to make sure that I can see all the features still. I'll put it up a little bit. I'm going to make sure that it's definitely going to be obvious that it's a little car rather than obvious that the wheels have been placed on there. So now what I'm going to do is I've clicked back on the first layer that I want, and I'm going over to my left toolbar and I'm going to grab the eraser tool. Now if we zoom in a little bit, we can get rid of that outer layer, and this will just make it look like it's part of our design. Now sometimes it'll work really nicely and it'll line up perfectly, other times not so much, so we'll have to be a little bit more careful. So over here is where I need to be a little bit more careful. So just going over these areas. All right, just erasing what I need to. That's looking pretty good. And now I'm going to go over to my other layer, and I'll do exactly the same thing. I do have to change my opacity back to 100, and then I can erase what I need to. So we're basically just merging it so it looks like that wheel actually belongs there. So I might just keep that little bit there. So sometimes you might have to step backwards and have another go because you might not get it right the first time, and that's totally fine. Right, erasing around there. All right, that's looking pretty good. I probably could get rid of this little, I've got a little bit extra shadow down there, so I'm just going to grab my selection tool and I'm going to just delete that. All right, so that's looking a little bit funny now, so I might actually step backwards. And maybe instead of getting rid of it like that, I might actually just get my eraser. So the same tool that we had before. And what have we got here? So I'll just erase it just so it looks like it's a little bit more seamless rather than the box that I had before. So if you've got any parts that don't look like they quite fit, then you might need to do the same thing. So we might need a little bit on this one as well. When you zoom out, you won't be able to tell quite so much. So it depends on how much you want to do it. All right, I could probably go over that a few more times, but I'll just leave it like that for now. So now we've got our beautiful little car, which looks quite cool at the moment. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all of those layers together. So you click on the last one or the first one, hold down Shift, and then click on the top one. Right click, and I'm going to merge my layers together. Now I'm just going to place it in the middle, and I think what we could do with this is maybe we could make like a little wallpaper for our computer or something like that. So let's do that. We'll make a fun little wallpaper. Perhaps my background color, I might change the color of that. What color shall I change it to? Maybe like a bright yellow or something would be quite nice. And you can grab your color picker, whichever colors take your fancy, maybe something like that. And as you can see, I've got a bit of a background there, so I might have to go back to that original layer and click the background so it actually looks realistic, or as realistic as we possibly can get our little car. All right, so if you wanted to, you can even go in these little areas and get all those tiny little details if you like. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to duplicate my car and do a bit of repetition, so you can do this as well if you like. So I'm going to right click on my layer and I'm going to duplicate. And this literally just makes a direct copy. When I press transform, I've now got a whole nother car and I can put it wherever I like. All right, I'm just going to put them all over the place, and I'm just going to do that multiple times, do them over again. All right, I might want to put one maybe in the corner over here. Grab another one. Put one up here. Maybe I'll put him going that way. And perhaps I'll grab one more. And we'll rotate that just a little bit. Maybe he can go around there as well. All right. And then what I can do, if I want to jazz it up with a little bit of color, I can go up to the top of my screen where it says image, go down to adjustments and then press hue/saturation, and I can change the hue. Now, if I don't want that background there, so if I were keeping everything this color, that would be absolutely fine. However, because I've got that color in the background, remember how I colored it yellow? If I didn't actually want that, I could go to my magic wand tool and actually select that background and I can delete that. All right, so I might want to do that. And then I'll deselect it, and then we'll see what happens now if it lets me actually color just the car rather than the background. Hopefully, there we go. So if we want a green car, we can do that. It probably will be best to do that, you know, before copying them all, but we can do it afterwards like I'm doing now. It isn't a big deal. Oops. So I'll just zoom in a little bit so I can see what's going on. All right, I'll just do these relatively quickly, but you get the idea. We'll change the color of a few of these. I want a nice blue car. And that one here, we'll just delete the background. Delete the window. Add some color. What color do we want that one? Maybe an orange. And then lucky last, we'll do the top one. So once again, I'm just getting rid of that background. Go up, adjustments, and change the hue. What color haven't we got? Maybe a pink one? Now, I didn't actually get rid of all of that background, so I'll just do that now. And you can see that red is showing through from the last one, which I don't want. All right, and now we've got a cool repetition of cars. And then what you could do if you want to do something a little bit further, you could even go and get your brush tool and maybe if you want to, you know, show some lines or something, maybe we'll grab just an orange maybe. If you wanted to make it look like the cars are actually like where they were moving somewhere, or you know, they've got lines coming from them, whatever it may be. Make it look like there's tracks going around the place. So there we've got our design. That one actually goes over the car, which I don't want. What I might do is, so that it doesn't go over the top, let's just undo that. And what I could do is create a whole new layer, and I'll put those behind the cars so I don't interfere with it. So now I can put my little lines on there if I want. If you don't want to do something like that, you can even just put like little marks and things on there. So, you know, you just got like a cool wallpaper. I haven't deleted the background of that red car yet, so I could do that in a minute. If it's interfering with what you're doing, just get rid of that background. All right, so now I've got my little car background. And that is my wallpaper, and that's how you make a little car and a wallpaper in Photoshop. Now you can try with more complex designs, but you've got the basic tools that you know how to do those things now. So have some fun with it, and make sure that you're always saving your work along the way, and you can save as a JPEG so that it will save and it can be used as a wallpaper. So there you have it, your very own miniature car wallpaper. So now you can have some fun in Photoshop and try shrinking all sorts of things.